Betrayal cuts deepest when it comes from the ones you trust most, and for CEO Toan, the blade was wielded by his own mother. When he uncovers her role in the torment Diem has endured, a fiery confrontation shatters the walls of family loyalty. With the unyielding Mai Huong pressing her advantage, armed with beauty, wealth, and relentless ambition, Toan's devotion to Diem is tested like never before. But in a world ruled by power and appearances, will love be enough to survive? Stay tuned, subscribe, and step into a gripping story of loyalty, sacrifice, and a battle for the heart. Toan stood frozen in the middle of his office, the papers in his hand trembling ever so slightly. He had just finished reading the final page of the investigation report, and the truth it revealed felt like a sledgehammer to his chest. For weeks, he had searched for the culprit behind the endless torment Diem had endured, the cancelled contracts, the slander in the media, the anonymous threats that had kept her awake at night. He had suspected rivals, envious acquaintances, even business competitors. But never, not even in his darkest imaginings, had he considered the possibility that the person orchestrating it all was his own mother. The realization struck him with a force that left his breath shallow. His mother, the woman who had raised him, the one whose approval he had spent his whole life seeking, had been the shadow moving every piece on the board to tear Diem away from him. For her, it wasn't personal, at least not in her mind. She saw it as protecting the family's reputation, ensuring Toan would marry the right woman, someone with status, wealth, and influence. Someone like Mai Huong. But to Toan, it was a betrayal so deep it cracked something inside him. Without thinking, he marched down the long marble hallway toward the family estate. His footsteps echoed sharply, his jaw clenched so tightly it hurt. When he entered the living room, his mother was sitting gracefully on the leather sofa, sipping tea as if the world outside their gates did not exist. The scent of expensive jasmine tea lingered in the air, but Toan could only smell the bitterness in his own chest. Why? His voice was low, but there was steel in it. His mother raised her eyes, calm and composed, as though she had been expecting him. "If you mean why I did it," she said evenly, "it's because I refuse to watch my only son throw away his future for a girl who has nothing to offer." The words were gasoline to a flame. Nothing to offer? She's the woman I love. She's the reason I get out of bed in the morning. And you, his voice rose, sharp and cutting, you've humiliated her, pushed her to the brink, and for what? So I can marry someone you approve of? Someone who ticks all your boxes? You think love will pay the bills, Toan, she replied, her tone still maddeningly calm. You think love will save you when the world turns its back on you? Marriage is not just about feelings, it's about alliances, power, and survival. Mai Huong is the kind of woman who can stand beside you in every boardroom, every headline, every gala. Diem, she paused, as though the name itself were distasteful. Diem will only drag you down. Enough. Toan's voice thundered through the room, startling even the house staff who lingered nearby. You talk about power as if it's worth more than a human heart. You talk about alliances as if love is disposable. I won't stand here and let you destroy the one person who has never once cared about my title, my money, or this family's name. There was a rustle of movement by the door, and Toan realized too late that someone had been listening. Mai Huong stepped into view, her perfectly styled hair framing her striking face, her lips curved in something between a smirk and concern. I didn't mean to intrude, she said softly, though her eyes glittered with something else entirely. Toan turned to her, his voice colder than the winter wind. Then don't. This is between me and my mother. Mai Huong tilted her head, her gaze darting between the two of them. I only want what's best for you, Toan. You know that. But Toan's eyes hardened. No, Mai Huong. You only want what's best for yourself. And let me make this clear, whatever you and my mother think you can do, it won't work. I will protect Diem. Always. Silence fell over the room, but the air was heavy with tension. Toan knew that after today, nothing in this house would ever be the same again. Mai Huong's smile didn't falter, even after Toan's icy words. If anything, it deepened, as though rejection were simply another challenge for her to conquer. She stepped further into the room, the faint click of her heels echoing against the polished marble floor. You're angry now, she said softly, almost soothingly. But once the dust settles, you'll see I'm the one who truly understands you. Diem, she doesn't belong in your world, Toan. She never will. Toan exhaled sharply, his patience hanging by a thread. You don't get to decide who belongs in my life, he said, his voice low but seething with restrained fury. And neither does my mother. I've told you before, and I'll say it again, there is nothing between us, Mai Huong. There never will be. For a fleeting moment, something flickered in her eyes, hurt, perhaps, but it was quickly replaced by determination. She moved closer, lowering her voice as though sharing a secret. You think this is about me wanting a title? No. This is about us, Toan. I've known you for years. I've watched you fight for your place in the business world, seen the way you carry the weight of this family on your shoulders. I'm the only one strong enough to stand beside you. Toan took a step back, his expression darkening. Strength isn't about stepping on others to get what you want. And it's not about scheming behind my back with my mother to destroy the woman I love. You talk about standing beside me, but all I see is someone trying to push Diem out of my life so you can take her place. Mai Huong's jaw tightened, but she didn't look away. And what has she given you, Toan? Heartache? Scandal? Endless trouble? You think love will shield you from the world's judgment? It won't. She'll crumble under the pressure, and when she does, you'll regret betting everything on her. I'd rather stand by DM and lose everything, Toan shot back, than live a life built on manipulation and lies. You think I'm blind to what you've done? Every rumor that spread, every business partner who suddenly turned their back on her, it all leads back to you and my mother. Do you really think I could love someone capable of that? His words hit their mark. Mai Huong's lips parted, but no sound came. For the first time, her confident mask wavered. She looked toward his mother, who had been silent throughout the exchange, her face a portrait of cold composure. It was clear she had expected Toan's anger, but not the depth of his resolve. Mai Huong regained her composure with practiced grace, brushing an imaginary speck of dust from her dress. "You're making a mistake," she said finally, her voice cool but laced with an unspoken challenge. "One day, you'll realize I was right. And when that day comes, I'll still be here. To wait for something that will never happen?" Toan's tone was cutting. "That's your choice. But hear me now, my heart belongs to DM. No amount of pressure, threats, or games will change that." The silence that followed was deafening. Toan's mother stared at him, her eyes narrowing, as though weighing whether this battle was worth continuing. Mai Huong's gaze lingered on Toan, searching for some crack in his resolve, but found none. Toan turned away, his voice steady but final. "This conversation is over." Without another glance, he walked out, each step echoing with the certainty of a man who had chosen his path, no matter the cost. Behind him, Mai Huong stood motionless, her nails digging into her palm, a flicker of something dangerous crossing her face. She wasn't used to losing, and she wasn't planning to start now. The air outside the family estate felt colder than usual, but Toan welcomed the chill as he stepped into the night. The confrontation had left a storm raging inside him, yet beneath the anger burned a fierce clarity. His heart had chosen, and it would not waver. The city lights glimmered in the distance, but all he could see in his mind was DM's face, the warmth in her eyes, the quiet courage she carried even when the world seemed determined to break her. Mai Huong's beauty, wealth, and influence were undeniable. Men of power had fallen for far less, but none of it stirred even a flicker in Toan's chest. To him, beauty without kindness was an empty shell, and wealth without integrity was nothing more than a chain. What Mai Huong offered was a life gilded on the outside but hollow within, a cage disguised as a palace. He remembered the first time he had seen DM truly smile. It wasn't at a glamorous party or in a designer gown, but on a rainy afternoon at the countryside farm she loved so much. Her hair had been damp, her clothes dusted with mud from tending the animals, yet her laughter had been bright, unguarded, and real. That moment had burned into his memory, a reminder that love was found not in perfection, but in the quiet, imperfect moments two hearts shared. Now, that love was under siege, not just from the world outside, but from within his own family. Toan knew the battle would not end with a single argument. His mother's disapproval would linger like a shadow, and Mai Huong's persistence was not the kind that faded overnight. If anything, his defiance would only sharpen her resolve. Back inside the estate, Mai Huong had not moved from the spot where Toan had left her. She stood by the wide bay window, her reflection merging with the city skyline beyond. His mother approached her quietly, her tone low but firm. "You see now? He's blinded by her. If we want to free him from this spell, we'll have to push harder." Mai Huong's lips curved into a slow, knowing smile. "Let him believe he's won for now. Love makes people reckless, and when he slips, I'll be there to catch him. She won't last in his world. She never does." Neither woman noticed the loyal family driver standing in the hallway, his expression uneasy. He had heard every word, and though his loyalty to the family ran deep, his respect for Toan ran deeper. Quietly, he slipped away, already planning how to warn Diem of what was coming. Meanwhile, Toan was behind the wheel of his car, driving toward the modest apartment where Diem stayed. The city streets blurred past, but his mind was focused on a single thought. She needed to know that no matter what happened, he would stand by her. His hands tightened on the steering wheel as he imagined the days ahead, the whispers in the press, the sudden accidents in her business, the pressure from every side to make her walk away. But he also imagined holding her hand through it all, telling her the truth about what he had learned, and watching the determination light up in her eyes. Diem was no fragile flower. She was stronger than anyone gave her credit for. And together, they would weather whatever storm came next. By the time he reached her building, the weight in his chest had lessened, not because the road ahead was any easier, but because his choice was made. He would fight for Diem, against his mother, against Mai Huong, against anyone who dared try to tear them apart. Inside the apartment, Diem looked up from the small dining table where she had been waiting, concern etched across her face. "You look exhausted," she murmured. Toan stepped forward, taking her hands in his. His voice was quiet but unwavering. "No matter what happens next, I need you to know my heart is yours. And nothing, no one, will ever change that."